Well, despite some of the recent signs that the U.S. property market could be under pressure, prices in some areas of the country are still red hot. And that is worrying the government because most of those real estate purchases have been made by shell companies. Daniel Wrenches explains.
Darren Sukenik is at home with the rich and famous. They come to him to buy and sell apartments like this one in Manhattan, New York, and they value his discretion. They put their money into an entity called a limited liability company, or LLC, so that their names aren't published in the public record of the purchase.
An LLC is to protect assets from creditors, from high net worth individuals, and or to protect their privacy, especially if they're buying for children and they're high net worth or they're celebrities or they're prominent people in general. They don't want people to know through public record where they live.
When a company doesn't transact business or own significant assets, it's called a shell company. The US Treasury is concerned that shell companies making cash purchases for high-end properties could be used to launder money.
And then when you look at the real estate transactions, which long have had a history of being attractive for fraud because of the high transaction price and the profit potential, you have a combination of events that make them very attractive for laundering large amounts of money and concealing the identities of those involved.
To combat fraud, the US Treasury has asked real estate title companies to help identify the buyers for cash purchases over $1 million in Miami and for sales of over $3 million in Manhattan. For the next 6 months, this information will go to the US Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Heather Lowe from the non-profit group Global Financial Integrity says the US is the largest tax haven in the world and attracts a lot of dirty money.
We are going around the world saying to other countries that they have to have strong anti-money laundering programs in place. They cannot be allowing the financing of terrorism, things like that. And yet we have a lot of systems here in the U.S. that allow for that to happen.
Experts at the U.S. Treasury Department will examine whether there are changes in the patterns of cash purchases during the 6-month experiment. If the data shows suspicious activity, officials here will design a new set of rules to make it easier for law enforcement agencies to crack down on illicit real estate transactions. Daniel Wrenches, CCTV, Washington.